If you clicked on today's video, chances are you are a street motorcyclist. Much to our chagrin here on Yaminu, because we love spending time off-road and on track, the vast majority of you watching these videos primarily spend your time on the street. So we thought it would be great to make a video today dissecting what makes a great street motorcycle so that you can buy with confidence. All right, guys, in usual Yaminu fashion, we have compiled 5 points for you guys to think about when you're thinking about your street motorcycle, right, Spite?
Yep, so there are some legal differences between a non-street legal motorcycle and one that is street legal that we need to talk about to really get a definition going. And then we've got 4 other ones talking about maintenance, the Powerband, the ergonomics, and the tire differences between street legal and non-street legal motorcycles, because those all make a big difference while you're riding around.
Let's take a look at the legal differences between a street motorcycle and a non-street legal motorcycle. Alrighty, folks, when it comes to the definition of a street legal motorcycle, this is actually going to vary state by state and country by country. Some countries have very strict regulations and restrictions on what you can have on a street motorcycle. We live in the great state of Texas, where you can get away with riding something like our Gixxer 250 on the street and nobody really cares. But there are some important things to note when you're looking at a street legal bike versus a non-street legal bike. I think the first thing anyone can see is headlights.
Yes.
Right?
That's basically a requirement. No matter where you live, you have to have a headlight on your motorcycle for it to be street legal.
You can't see at night if you don't have a headlight. I guess you could wear a little coal miner light on your helmet.
Just hold a flashlight out there.
Yeah.
You need to have a high beam and a low beam. That's one thing that a lot of people see and do on some modifications for their motorcycles. They'll swap a headlight out and they lose either their high or their low beam. And that results in when they flip the switch, the light goes out. That's not good. You need to have the high and the low to be street legal, at least most places. Again, it is going to vary depending on where you are.
Yeah.
Another thing that varies, mirrors.
That varies a lot.
Yeah.
Some places you can get away with, like here in Texas, a small little bar end mirror. As long as you can see something behind you, you can usually pass inspection, which we will talk about later. But in other states, they want to have actual functioning mirrors you can see behind you, which are usually what you want on a street bike anyways.
Yeah, it is super important to be able to see what's coming up behind you.
Yeah.
We've ridden a couple of street bikes that don't have mirrors on because we've taken them off or we haven't put new bar ends on in time. Weird. And it's always strange because you're like, you need to like look behind you when you're trying to...
People think you're smelling your armpits while you're riding, you know?
Yeah, trying to make a lane change. It's really weird, and you should just leave your mirrors on, guys. I know a lot of people, they take them off because they want to be stealthy, but yeah, it's just kind of dumb.
Just leave them on. Next thing to talk about, indicators. Now, this is one that does vary a lot state by state. I believe here in Texas, you don't have to have them because you can just put your arm out, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can get away with no indicators as long as you know right, left. And that's something that motorcyclists probably know, but not a lot of car drivers do. And that's why I just recommend leaving your indicators on your motorcycle.
Yeah.
Some places, this is one thing that's worth pointing out, you actually need to have a certain amount of cycles per second for it to be like a proper indicator. So if you see people that switch to LEDs and they haven't put the flasher relay in, it's going blink, 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 that's no good. You gotta be at 85 cycles.
Can't imagine doing inspection here in Texas and someone pings you for that, you know? Like,
oh, no.
Can't imagine that. Next thing I'd like to talk about is, exhaust and exhaust regulations and emissions. That is something you are definitely going to have to keep in check depending on where you live for it to be street legal. I know some states like California are clamping down hard on emissions. So if you've got some super racy pipe, you may not be able to pass inspection and make your bike street legal. Again, we here in Texas, I could probably ride my Daytona to the CVS and back and no one would really care.
No.
But that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten away with, the ZH2 had a straight pipe.
Yeah.
And it was...
Never pulled over.
Yeah. We did get pulled over one time on the FTR for being too loud.
Yes, but that was, that's a whole other story for another time. Last thing I'd like to mention is that if you are going to run a motorcycle on the street, you obviously need a license plate. And to get a license plate, you have to register, insure, and have your motorcycle all ready to go with the state. So there's lots of administrative things around having a license plate, your insurance, and your registration. You want to tell the people a little bit about that?
Yeah, so on your license plate, you're going to have that little sticker. You need to re-up that every year. And on...
Do we re-up it every year?
The DRC hasn't been registered since 2018 or 2019.
I'm not gonna incriminate myself, but I'll just play the lottery and probably just have my sticker, the old one. Yeah.
Yeah, so these motorcycles need to be re-upped every year,
Yes.
and they need to be put on a license plate bracket that includes a license plate light.
Very important.
It needs to be a white light. Know your brake light does not suffice as a license plate light. It needs to specifically be white, and that is one thing that you actually can't get away with here in Texas.
You
Ask
found
me
that out.
how I know. Yeah. I had to go and buy a little license plate light and hook it up to my battery while I was trying to get my bike inspected. And the guy was like, "It's on. You have a license plate light. I know you're going to take it off the second you leave, but
You pass.
it passed." So there are some weird little things that you need to check based on where you live for getting your motorcycle inspected and registered.
Yep. And the last thing, of course, to be street legal, if you get pulled over and you don't have this, you're gonna have a really bad time, is insurance. Basically, everywhere in the United States, and I think every other country in the world, you need to have at least liability insurance, something that says that you are covered in the event of an accident or someone bumps into you or something like that. You need to have insurance on your motorcycle. But I think there's something else I just thought of that people should have, but maybe they don't have.
You mean something a little bit like this, maybe? Little rock form phone case
I'll
here?
let you take it away.
Now, if you were looking to be a good street boy on your street motorcycle, you should have something like this on your motorcycle. This is a rock form handlebar phone mount, which goes right into their fancy handy dandy phone case. This is actually my phone case, not my phone mount. I got one sitting like this just on my motorcycle, and they're lovely drop tested phone cases that are drop tested from 6 feet, and they just kind of work. Not only that, they have sport rings and screen covers to keep your phone in your hand and protected properly all the time, but they've also got cool stuff like these low profile EDC wallets. This is actually mine. It's got all my cards and stuff in it, and I carry it around all the time. They've also got speakers, all sorts of cool gadgets. Click the link down below and check out all the products Rockform has to offer, and use the code YN25 to get 25% off your order. Now let's check out some of the other things that separate a good street motorcycle from a bad one.
Next up for today on what makes a good street motorcycle, we are talking ergonomics. If you spent any amount of time on this channel, you know we talk a lot about ergonomics, but they're very important when it comes to riding a motorcycle, isn't this, bud?
Yeah, absolutely. The ergonomics package is largely dictated by the purpose of the motorcycle, and you can really tell that this motorcycle is purpose built for what it's meant to do, and that one has no purpose.
No purpose.
While the BMW jokes make themselves, that's because it's actually just designed to be motorcycle, something that's really easy to live with on the day-to-day.
Yeah, let's swing a leg over both of these bikes and show you what we mean. When you swing a leg over the BMW GS over here, you notice that the pegs are a little bit lower, the seat is a little bit lower, and most importantly, your handlebars are a little bit higher as well. That gives your back not as much of an angle, you get your weight off of your wrists, and you can ride the bike all day long. Motorcycles like this are what we call standard-sized motorcycles, standard-style motorcycles. That way you can sit on them and ride them for very long periods of time. We recommend that the street bike you're looking at should probably be styled something close to this, where your back isn't at much of an angle, the seats are a little bit lower, and you're just a little bit more comfortable. When you look at something like the Ninja ZX6R over here, you'll notice it has clip-ons. It's very low down on the reach to the bars over here. The pegs are high and the seat is high as well. That's designed to get you in an attack position, a race position, so you can get in the bubble, hit your apexes, stay in the bubble, get on the gas, and ride this bike around a racetrack. Now, riding around a racetrack means that it's going to be not so great when you ride around on the daily. When you take this thing to the grocery store, to the office, wherever you're going to go with it, you're going to be putting some weight on your wrists. You're going to have to really engage your core when you ride and ride it in a much more sporty way. It's not to say that it's impossible to ride a ZX6 around on the street. We are just saying that you're probably going to want something more upright so that you can have fun when you're out riding on the street. The next thing we're talking about for your street motorcycle is obviously the most important part. It's the only thing that actually contacts the ground when you're actually rolling around, and it's your tires. Tires are a huge topic, so we're not going to get super in depth today. But when it comes to your street legal motorcycle, there's actually some tires you cannot run on the street. For example, my race bike is on a Continental slick tire over here. You notice it is completely slick, as the name implies, no siping in it, and this compound will not get enough heat in it whenever you're out riding for it to generate enough grip as well. This is a track tire, you need to get it up to a certain operating temperature for it to actually have grip. On the other end of the spectrum, you have something like this D606 on my WR250R over here, which is a DOT legal tire, but by the very slim definition of that. The super chunky knobs over here makes this tire a 90% off-road tire and 10% on-road tire, meaning that if you were to actually ride this on the street for a prolonged period of time, you'd start to see the knobs come off of it, and it would eventually look like some mangled mess that more closely resembles this slick than you would want to see as well. You can get even more aggressive knobs, something like an MX33 on a proper dirt bike that is also not DOT legal. When it comes to a street motorcycle, we often tell you guys to go for something like a sport touring tire, like a Michelin Pilot Road 5. It's got longevity, it heats up quickly, and will provide plenty of grip for all-day comfort and wet weather conditions as well. Tires are really important, don't overlook them. Next up on today's list, we're talking maintenance. I know a lot of street riders out there are gawking at valve clearances and valve checks and oil changes and all those kinds of things, and that's for very good reason. You should be on top of your maintenance and make sure that your street bike isn't needlessly maintenance complicated, like a Ducati or something like that, you know?
Or perhaps a converted dual sport, which you see a lot of in the supermoto space. A lot of converted motorcycles from these dirt bikes into street motorcycles, which is perfectly doable, but then you inherit all of the problems that come with a maintenance-intensive dirt bike on the street. I mean, what are some of the hour maintenance intervals on there?
So to give you guys an idea, this bike basically needs its valves checked every 30 hours of usage and pretty much needs a complete disassembly and refresh every 120 hours or so of usage, which translates to about 2,500 to 3,000 miles. You need to get the engine out and completely refresh and disassemble it. Versus the WR over here, where you got to check the valves every 20,000 miles, and they're probably going to be within spec.
I mean, the major difference, the reason why this is so intensive is because it is a hopped up, it's a race motor designed for you to extract every bleeding ounce of power out of it.
Some people can, I can't.
I mean, it's designed for like a 1% of 1% riders, whereas this is designed for anybody to hop onto it.
Yep.
And as a result, anybody can do the maintenance on it.
Yep.
I mean, theoretically, anybody could do the maintenance on that, but you're gonna wanna have a shop to do it in. You could do this in your driveway.
You're gonna wanna have something more specialized. But that's what we tell you guys, if you're looking at mostly riding on the street, pick a bike that has a pretty chill maintenance schedule. Don't get yourself some Ducati that needs its Desmos checked every 7,500 miles, or a converted race bike or something like that, because you're gonna have a much more headache-free existence on something like this WR over here. Last up on today's list, we are talking Powerband, and what a better motorcycle than the Aprilia 210 V4 Factory to mention Powerband, because this thing has an infinite power band.
Oh, this thing is just so delicious. Power everywhere, and so much power.
All to the point where most street riders probably don't need this much power. I know a lot of you guys are about to get upset and tell us that no, we do need that much power, and I bought it because it has all that power, and that's why Aprilia sells a bunch of these. We get it. But when you think about Powerband, there's several factors you got to think about. It's how the engine's going to make its power, how much peak power, and where that power is being made. Right, Spite?
Yeah, so you got to think of something like a single cylinder versus an inline four. A single cylinder is going to give you a ton of punch down low. Up top, it is going to gasp for air.
Yep.
Ask me how I know. They're also going to be very vibrational. Then you get on an inline four. They're very smooth, but they don't have that down low power. Some of them can be tuned and geared to make more power a little bit lower, but you do have to rev them out to get to that top end punch.
It's why we're seeing a lot of street motorcycles coalescing around the parallel twin engine. It's a good compromise between low-end grunt, good amount of top-end punch, cheap to manufacture, and compact to put in these motorcycles. That's why I see a lot of street bikes utilizing a parallel twin, from your MT-07s to your Versys 650s to your Rebel 1100s to your R3s, Ninja 400s, what else? Africa Twins. Triumph Bonnevilles, they're everywhere. Parallel twins are probably the most ubiquitous engines in motorcycling, but we will forgive you if you choose something like this. Because, hey, if you don't have enough power down low, just increase the displacement. Or, hey, slap a turbo on it.
Yeah, I mean, you can go crazy with the kind of power that you want to make out of your engine. But I think that the normal usable street power band stops at about 100 horsepower, something like that. What do you think?
I think so too. I think that's about as much as you would want to really be able to use the bike. Any more than that, and you're probably going to be convincing yourself you need all that power.
Yeah, and when you are convincing yourself you need all that power, it's just, you're going to need some speeding ticket
Come on,
insurance.
we all love this. Come on, we all love that. Don't do too much of that though.
Just a little bit, like that, and then roll off.
Yeah. All right, folks, we hope you enjoyed today's look on street motorcycles, and we hope that if you're a beginner rider and you're looking at getting your first motorcycle, you will find the right choice after looking at these 5 criteria for today.
Kind of sounds like the motorcycle you're describing is a little bit something like this.
Hey you, yeah, click the Amy video right over there. You should do it. Click that video. Keep watching. Some good stuff. You should really check it out. Hey, look over there. Go click the video. Look, go click it. Click it right now. Do it. Click that video right now. Do it. Do it. Do it.